Chapter 5, College Education Programs and the Normalization of the Usual. Folks, I promise I'm not making a joke when I refer to everything we've discussed in the video so far as the usual. The usual is a reality we teachers can't escape, not with training sessions or re-examining our state of mind. I should note, folks, that I'm neither an optimist nor a pessimist. I'm a realist. When people talk about the cup being half full or half empty, what does it matter if the cup has holes in it? If a system is broken, you're not being an optimist by ignoring the holes. You're just lying to yourself and others. The phrase, "the system is broken," is used to describe a lot of things. But what is a system and what makes it broken? Endless books have been written on this. We could talk about power structures, hierarchies, rules and routines, and endless other factors that make people feel like they don't have a say or a choice in changing any system. But at the end of the day, let's remember that a system is people making decisions. The great question is, who gets to make the decisions? Most people would group decision making with the freedom to have an actual choice. We naturally consider freedom a good thing. But if you think about it, having freedom to make career choices can be terrifying because we become responsible for the choices we make. Consider, every person watching this has the freedom to quit their job today. To be absolutely clear, I'm not saying it's an easy or good choice, as there would be huge consequences, but the fact that we have the freedom to make these decisions makes our situations all the more difficult when compared to not having a choice, in which case it's out of your hands so you don't have to think about it as much. To cope with how difficult our choices in life are, we often simplify things by convincing ourselves we don't have a choice, and thus evade responsibility for not pushing for change. I want to pause here and reassure everyone that this is not a whiny speech about blaming people for their situations and telling everyone to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Far from it. I want us to consider how many admin and academics will avoid pushing for actual change and just simply label whatever they're doing as change, thus avoiding responsibility by stating they don't have any choice either and are just following orders. We need to consider the funds of knowledge that teach academics, admin, and incoming teachers to normalize and promote the usual as somehow challenging oppressive systems. This bass-backwards reasoning has led to so many education programs and colleges all over focusing only on the failings of the teachers while turning a blind eye to our realities simply because teachers are easy targets. Many new teachers are practically brainwashed by their programs into thinking that they alone are the agents of change who will whip the other teachers into shape, only to quit their first year after they spent the whole year dealing with Johnny's temper tantrums. I want to pause to note that like everything in this video, there's going to be variance. 10 different education programs will have 10 different situations. Also, you line 10 professors up and ask them a question, you might get 10 different answers, maybe 20. I won't be giving you a book report on how these programs function and vary. Rather, I want to talk about how it is that so many teacher programs are so far removed from the day-to-day struggles of the average teacher. Let's start by considering who is teaching college-level courses. Yes, the obvious answer might be professors, but what's shocking is in universities all over, only about a third of those teaching are full-time professors who are tenured or on a tenured track. 50 years ago, almost all professors would have been on a tenured track, but the free market business model has meant universities are basically outsourcing jobs to grad school students and adjunct professors. This outsourcing has hurt many programs, but education programs often get it the worst compared to, say, science, math, engineering, or business programs. Though there are many grad school students who do an excellent job teaching with their pre-assembled curriculum, we need to consider that so many are in their mid-20s and have little or no actual teaching experience. This matters. Would you want a swim coach who's never swam? A hockey coach who can't skate? How about a basketball coach who can't show a proper layup? It's not being mean to ask for experience. But as a business model, this is very successful in saving money for other college majors that are considered more important. But the bigger picture is, you wouldn't expect most grad students to have a clue about the usual struggles teachers face. I myself am a PhD student looking to start a dissertation soon. I can say without question that had I not continued to work full-time as a kindergarten teacher while working on my PhD, I wouldn't have made this video or really ever had a clue about the usual. By the way, if you're looking to get ahead in academia, don't make a video like this. Now, let's consider the other form of outsourcing, adjunct professors. It's a funny name that really just means bringing in people with real-world experience to teach a college class. Though it's an absolute joke what they are paid, the idea of bringing real-world experience into a college classroom is a good one. Now, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I remember having many adjunct professors in my education program. Only a few were teachers, the rest were principals and admin. One major downside to adjunct professors is an obvious one: time. Teachers and even admin work long hours that are often very stressful. Even teaching one college course a week as an adjunct would be so hard to fit in that you wouldn't be able to add much to the curriculum. I can say from experience that adjunct professors were often an easy A in the class, but it's what you don't learn that haunts you when you start teaching. Time and time again, teachers will say that classroom or behavior management was the #1 thing they didn't get enough training for in their college program. I agree, but there's something misleading about this. The onus is still all on the teacher's shoulders. Even veteran teachers are still mistakenly thinking that there are these one-size-fits-all strategies that will solve Johnny's meltdowns and every other problem under the sun. There's no class that teaches perfect behavior solutions. Perfect doesn't exist in education. Incoming teachers are walking into a disaster when they have been trained for 4 or more years to assume all behavior issues are some sort of simple misunderstanding, often due to the teacher's bias, and can be easily fixed by a hug and a courageous apology from the teacher, of course. More damaging is the fact that major behavior issues are so often completely ignored in college programs. This isn't surprising when everything is a misunderstanding. What behavior? There's only teacher errors. One thing that many programs do a better job at is challenging the test score culture of many districts. But these challenges are often toothless when we don't consider who's making the policies and which academics have research that justifies or contributes to these policies. Test score shaming doesn't appear out of thin air. It's a product of policies and the people behind those policies. You can't challenge a system without knowing who's in it and where the power lies. Without knowledge of the usual teacher struggles, incoming teachers become victims of a system that they often first experience during student teaching. From here, it's sink or swim, especially when they get their first job. Veteran teachers can help a new teacher with Johnny's meltdowns, but it's important to remember that many new teachers have years of training that they are supposed to be the agents of change that show these old and stubborn teachers how to bring down the achievement gap. They might not take the help. Though I'm not going to talk about the college classes admin take for their administrative licenses, it's interesting to consider that incoming teachers have the same blame the teacher training that admin get, which is somehow called leadership training. When you consider the alternative world that many admin live in, it doesn't take much imagination to figure out what leadership training looks like in admin classes. The true crime is this same style of training teaches incoming teachers to reinforce the same system that will make them quit later on. Thus, by ignoring the real issues of the classroom and focusing on what teachers are doing wrong, so many college teaching programs reinforce the impossible situation that so many teachers find themselves in. Ignoring the usual only reinforces the system, and it's an abusive system that allows admin to do whatever they want to the teachers. But there's also a small percentage of parents who have learned that they too can take advantage of teachers. These nightmare parents will be discussed in our next chapter.